How many people out there are Bloods? And how many people are out there that are Crips? And how many people are out there that are ATL? And how many people are out there that are B3 Jukes? And how many people are out there that are biker gangs? How many people out there are, riding to Sturgis and doing tough biker stuff? And, we're so badass. Like, how come there's so many badasses in America, but there's nobody standing up to the corrupt corporations and the government that surrounds us every day, telling us how much to pay for our electric and how much to pay for our water, when that shit should actually be free? Free. And, if you're like me, you're a disabled veteran and you got a house on a specific amount a month that you should pay, and the contract said it would never rise, and yet somehow now you're paying almost $140 a month more. I don't have $140 a month more. You guys are still paying me the same amount for disability that you have been since 2010, man. This is 2026. That's 16 years later, and you're still giving me the same damn amount of money like that's supposed to cover it. My electric's gone up because Ameren is a butthole, and they're like, oh yeah, we need all these monies to do maintenance. And it's like, if you drive around my town, all you'll see is power lines just overgrowing the trees. And my freaking street lamp out on my road is like barely even on, because the cable back here in my trees has been rubbed completely thin by the wind, and the main wire itself is touching the tree. Like, I just keep waiting for that thing to burst into flames, and you're like, well, why haven't you done anything about it? I have told 10 different Ameren crews about that freaking situation, and not one of them has done anything about it. They'll charge me $100 extra a month on my bill, and they'll say, oh, you used 300% more electricity than you did last month, because they can just shoot that shit out their ass, and nobody actually takes the time to, look that stuff through and find out that they're lying, which I know they're lying, because the same amount of TV time and the same amount of air conditioner time and the same amount of everything else time in my house is from day to day to day to day to month to month to month to year to year to year, and they're sitting here telling me I'm using more electric. But anyway, I digress. So, we got all these tough, big, badass groups, right? How come we're getting pushed around? How come you all are getting pushed around? If you're so tough and you're so badass, why aren't you fighting the people that are fucking you over, man? You have just as high bills as I do. You have just as much of the government barking, biting at your ass that everybody else does. Us motherfuckers with the little house and the motherfuckers with the big house. Everybody. But fuck them motherfuckers with the big house, because, they're like, oh, I just have my servant clean it, and it's like, that's not how it rolls down here at the small end of the hill. But, anyway, what my main point is, if all y'all are tough and badass and hardcore, and I'm talking to you too, retired Special Forces and Green Berets and Navy SEALs, if all of y'all are so badass and ain't nobody gonna get one over on you, then why are you letting the government get one over on you and laughing about it? And they're laughing in your face. They're laughing in your face. They're saying, you ain't shit, and we can charge you whatever we want to charge. We're going to make you pay taxes on top of the taxes, so that you pay taxes on those taxes that we tax you. You're going to pay taxes on everything you buy throughout the year, and then you're going to pay us taxes at the end of the year on all the money that you make, and then you're going to pay taxes on those taxes. And when you buy a new vehicle, You're going to pay taxes on it. You're going to pay sales tax. And you're going to pay taxes for your house if you pay off early. And you're going to pay taxes on loans that you get if you pay off early. How come there's so many badasses in America, but we're run this way? Like, why don't y'all, instead of fighting each other, pointless, and, killing each other, pointless, why don't you band together as one big badass group? And I ain't saying that we'll leave that part out. But anyway, how come y'all don't band together and fix this situation, man? Like, I know there's a lot of biker groups out there that are good people. And they freaking, they help people out. And they help the small guy. And like, even though the Crips and Bloods are fighting against each other, the Crips help the little guys. The Blood helps the little guys. They help their mom and their dad or their sisters or their cousins get through the hard times because they got, buttload of cash rolling in because they doing their thing. And it's like, how come all of you people out there aren't banding together and letting this government know that you ain't somebody to push around and you ain't somebody to mess with? Yeah, they got the gear and yeah, they got the tech, but if you, play your cards right, you could have that tech and you could have that gear and you could have that power and you could put up a fight and you wouldn't even be able to possibly guess how many people would be willing to join your cause, because Americans are tired of it. Americans are sick of it. The land of the free my ass. We got to pay for everything, and then we got to pay for paying for that everything, and then we have to pay taxes on that everything that we paid for when we paid for the everything on the taxes. So how about my big, powerful, strong groups get together, make some kind of movement, and get this shit dealt with, man? How about that? Hawk Tua.